Nintendo has delayed Switch 2 pre-orders in the US after discovering a terrifying new game mechanic called Trump's economic policy. It's like DLC, but it costs 24% more, and the only power-up is anxiety. And there's some other tech news as well. Hey, remember when Nintendo finally confirmed the Switch 2 was real? It seemed like just 300 hours ago that new shiny console might actually exist outside of Reddit leaks and the fever dreams of scalpers. We had a release date, a pre-order window, and even a crazy price of $449.99, which in Nintendo money translates to it's still not powerful, but you'll buy it anyway, you degenerate Zelda slut. I don't know. But just like a fart in a wind tunnel, the pre-orders vanished from the US market faster than Donald Trump's latest coherent sentence, because Captain Comova announced that a 24% tariff on Japanese imports is going into effect. Yeah, Trump dropped a fat orange economic nuke on gaming consoles right before launch. Trump, this doesn't concern you. This is Mario Kart, not a golf cart. Nintendo's response is that they've postponed US pre-orders to assess the potential impact, which means we just realized we're about to get financially pegged by a man who thinks anime is a Mexican dish. Now, Bowser, not the fire-breathing turtle, the actual president of Nintendo of America, said the tariffs weren't even factored in to the pricing. And I mean, to be fair, it is difficult to plan ahead for stupidity. And to make your tears even more moist, the only way to pre-order now is to be a certified Nintendo simp. To pre-order from Nintendo directly, you need an active account, 50 hours of gameplay logged, and a Switch Online sub. It's the gaming version of Bend a Knee, except instead of a crown, you get a $450 tablet with detachable Fisher-Price controllers. I look forward to your comments. I am actually quite excited for the Switch 2. These are jokes. Now let's throw even more American brand climate-destroying gasoline on this collapsing bonfire. Over in RGB Disneyland, Razer has quietly pulled all of its laptops from the US store. The Blade 16 and 18, they're gone. Their website is now emptier than a Tesla showroom. Razer's official statement, which is pretty useless, is we have no comment regarding tariffs, which means we're hiding under a desk until the orange storm blows over. The unofficial statement is probably something like, we're Razer, we can't afford to eat 50% tariffs because unlike Apple, we don't charge you $1,000 for wheels. Framework is out too, Micron's slapping surcharges on memory chips. It's the kind of mass tech panic that makes you nostalgic for crypto crashes or when Facebook tried to be a bank. Now sure, you could say that Nintendo and Razer are the good guys here, taking the high road, protecting consumers, but this isn't a Marvel movie, there's no good guys. There's just corporate survival instinct and a tariff-induced pantsing from a man who thought bleach was a viable vaccine. So now Nintendo has to choose. Do they A, jack up the price by 24% and enrage fans harder than Joy-Con drift ever did? Do they eat the costs and make less profit, which would violate sacred shareholder scripture? Or do they send Mario to storm the White House and jump on Trump's head until he vanishes in a puff of economic logic? But don't worry, the Switch 2 is still coming, just later. Maybe more expensive, and possibly only available if you prove that you've watched all 3 Mario movies, including the bad one. Hello players, welcome to Sexy Tech. I'm your tech jester, Buzz Stringer. This is tech news and nonsense. We have more tech news coming, like there's more Nintendo stuff and Apple are having a Brazilian. You'll see. Okay, pants off, sit back, man spread your problems away. This is the big show, the big show of the week, where we have sections like this, where I can't talk. This is where we hang out. If you don't want to get to know each other, you can skip ahead, no hard feelings. And unless you want hard feelings, I look forward to your comments. Tariffs are a big thing right now. I try to avoid politics where I can, but as I write this episode, the tariffs have changed 3 times. So the first story is already out of date, or a future prediction. Trump is even making my nonsense complicated. The tariffs changed quicker than Elon's relationship status. Married, divorced, that's complicated. Or quicker than Hitler passed the Enabling Act. Elon Musk and Adolf Hitler are both very different, of course. One's a racist, misogynistic, power-hungry dictator and with a fragile ego, and the other is... oh, wait, no. They're both massive dicks, and not in the good way. Okay, right, talk nerdy to me down below. If you can't think of a comment, this week's safe words are Nintendo Tease. We read past comments at the end, so hit like if you laugh, and subscribe if you wet your pants. You know all this stuff. That's impossible for me. I'm not wearing pants. But I do have more tech news, and here it comes. Nintendo is back to spit in your mouth and call it nostalgia. So Nintendo has had a little press release event, probably held inside a cardboard box shaped like a castle, where they decided that every single first-party game on the Switch 2 will now cost $70 or $80. That's right, the same price as a therapy session with Dr. Mario after realizing that Peach left him for Luigi's Mansion's royalties. Okay, I'll stop. $80 for Mario Kart World, which, spoiler alert, isn't even a new game. It's just Mario 8 wearing sunglasses and pretending he's in Ibiza. Actually, I am very much looking forward to Mario Kart World. It does look pretty awesome. But lucky for us, it gets worse. They're slapping that $70 sticker on old games like Zelda Breath of the Wild as well. That game came out back when TikTok was still just people doing the floss and pretending they like Fortnite. Now it's $70 because it runs 4K instead of 720 on a 12-bit potato. Groundbreaking. Actually, it's Zelda, so it's vase-breaking. I do normally save the really bad jokes for the end, but today's your lucky day. What are they even charging for? Pixels, inflation, tariffs, Miyamoto's yacht fuel? We added 10 extra frames per second and a slightly shinier blade of grass. That'd be $10, peasant. But now look, I get it. Sony charges $10 for PS4 to PS5 upgrades. Microsoft, well, they give them away like it's Oprah's birthday. But Nintendo says, hey, remember that game you already paid for? Pay again, loser. That's the Nintendo way. It's capitalism with a Mushroom Kingdom paint job. But third-party games might be cheaper though. Street Fighter 6 is $60, Bravely Default the remaster is $40, because those developers aren't trying to fund an underground shrine to Wario's gold-plated testicles. Nintendo's also pulling the old, you can get a free upgrade sometimes trick. Yeah, Super Mario Odyssey, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are getting free patches, but Tears of the Kingdom and Jamboree, nah, cough it up. That's a Switch 2 edition. There's no clear pricing on how much these upgrades would cost either. Probably a scratch card system. Congratulations! You win a $10 discount on a game that you already own. Twice! And don't forget, this is happening during the rising US tariffs. Nintendo, bless their Yoshi-colored socks, moved manufacturing to Vietnam to dodge China's taxes, only for the US to slam Vietnam with a 46% tariff. Yeah, they tried to avoid one economic colonoscopy and got a surprise rectal exam from the other side. Smooth. Well, I hope it was. Smooth. This isn't about performance. Well, of course it's not, it's Nintendo. This is about Nintendo realizing they can reheat the same pasta for the 7th time and still charge you like it's a Michelin-star ravioli. But it could have been worse. They could have gone with VR and a new Power Glove. Actually, that might not be a bad combination. No. The Switch 2 is a family console. Apple, the company that sells you $19 cloths and charges separately like they're artisanal cocaine, is now preparing to expand iPhone assembly in Brazil. Yeah, you heard me, Brazil, the land of carnival, chaos, and now capitalism's hottest side hustle. And this is because Tariff Daddy Trump, with his spray-on tan and spray-on vengeance, has now screwed Apple with his silly little tariff tantrums. He's slapping tariffs on Chinese imports harder than he slaps on that toupee. Tim Apple naturally went full coward mode and said, oh no, please don't tax us for using cheap Chinese labor to build a $1,200 phone that costs us, I don't know, $5 to make. So what's Apple's solution? Well, it's simple. They're moving all operations to Brazil because tariffs from Brazil are only 10%. That's the tech equivalent of moving your weed stash to your grandma's house to avoid the cops. You'd think $1 trillion company could just eat the cost like a big boy, but nope. Instead, they're frantically looking for any country that hasn't been economically friend-zoned by America. India got slapped with a 26% import tax. China is what? 2,000% now. Brazil just got a gentle little spanking at 10%. So now Tim Apple's doing the samba trying to dodge Uncle Sam's pimp hand. Apple has been assembling entry-level iPhones in Brazil since 2011, mostly to avoid local import taxes, but now they're planning to assemble the iPhone 16 Pro there too. Yeah, that's right. Soon your top-tier ultra-deluxe $1,600 pocket rectangle might be built in a Foxconn factory next to a coffee plantation and a dude selling counterfeit Pokemon cards. That's globalization, baby. They're not doing this for any benefit to Brazilians. Of course not. They're going to export these phones back to the US like they're designer knockoff. Made in Brazil is about to be stamped on more iPhones than thongs at Copacabana. This move is about protecting the almighty profit margin so shareholders can keep their beach houses and Tim Cook can keep buying those minimalist turtlenecks made from orphaned unicorn wool. Meanwhile, you, the consumer, get the same phone Same price from a slightly different sweatshop. Congrats. So your iPhone might have done more traveling than you've done this year. It was probably designed in California, assembled in Brazil, boxed in Vietnam, and shipped by a logistics firm headquartered in Northern Ireland. Just taxes. That's why. Welcome to late stage capitalism. It's global, mobile, and morally flexible. Just like me. It's the end of the show. Spread it far and wide. The video, nothing else. What am I selling? Oh yeah, there's this t-shirt you can buy. I don't have it with me because it's in the wash because I love it so much, and I'm wearing it out. And there's there's extra stories on Patreon. But now there's some things you can't buy, and that's comments. So the first comments on the last two videos, we'll do those. Old Man's Eye, hey Buzz, your new chair was perfect. And everyone is going, what the fuck, how does he know? This episode had me wetting myself. Nice job, bud. Thanks. Yeah, so this show may cause incontinence. Please see your doctor if that happens. we had a great chair reveal on the impromptu live stream, and I'm planning a live stream that's organized this time, so stay tuned for details on that one. Next, yeah, we'll go with that. They might have their handcuffs ready, but all the ads involving streamers on catnip playing fake games keep sprouting like Temu ads. yeah, right? They're not even the worst ads. There's some ads on YouTube which are pretty bad. Far worse than this show, in fact. They're basically porn. And if you see any of those ads on this show, I'm not even getting paid for them. It's outrageous. From Stacy, your videos rule. Love the comedic addition to the news. Thanks, Stacy. But in reality, it's more the news is an addition to the comedic nonsense. But the nonsense has to end. So stay sexy and be excellent to each other. I bought a car that runs on herbs. I ended up time traveling.